مساء الخير عليكم، صحة رمضانكم وصحة فطوركم. مرحبا بكم في العدد الثاني من مغامرة واش درنا Across the World. وكما على بالكم كل سمانة رانا رايحين نتعرفوا على شباب في جميع أنحاء العالم باش نشوفوا كيفاش راهم عايشين، نشوفوا واش راهم يديروا باش يحكوا لنا على بلادهم وحنايا نحكوا لهم على بلادنا. اليوم الذكرى 17 للزلزال اللي ضرب في ولاية بومرداس وضواحيها في يوم 21 ماي 2003. Donc 17 ans déjà, nous pensons les plus sincères à tous ceux qui ont perdu à tous ceux qui ont perdu leurs proches. Nous pensons aussi fait de la Wesh à toutes les personnes qui ont des membres de leur famille hospitalisés à cause de la pandémie du Covid-19 et également nous pensons à toutes les familles et à tous les détenus d'opinion en ce moment dans cette période très particulière. Alors, اليوم راني رايح نديكم dans un pays très lointain, un pays très éloigné. رايحين نتعرفوا مع واحد le jeune américain اللي عايش اللي جانا en tout cas de Kansas City, Missouri, في الماريكان. Mais avant de le rencontrer et avant de pouvoir en parler, je vais inviter mon ami Nassim Bala. Nassim Bala اللي معاه بدينا لو ديلير هذا وخممنا كيف هاد لافونتور تاع واش درنا Across the World. Je vais l'afficher. ندير له الميكرو ديالو ونقول له مرحبا بك cher ami Nassim. Est-ce que tu m'entends? Bonsoir.
Anna, je t'entends très bien. Bonsoir alaikum. Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Alors nous on t'entend. راني كوبيت لك الموسيقى باش هكذا نسمعوك de manière claire. Alors سقم شويه برك الكاميرا تاعك. سقمها برك شويه صح فطورك خويا ناسم.
مساء الخير عليكم.
واش راك خويا العزيز؟
والله غير صافا وانتوما صافا tu vas bien Riyad?
Bah écoute, moi je vais super bien, je suis très heureux de partager هذا le moment معك اليوم. اليوم راك معايا parce que tout d'abord كي بدينا هاد l'aventure خممناها كيف donc كي جاتني ليدي بديت نهضر معاك ودخلنا dans un délire هكذا ensemble. Et surtout je tenais à t'inviter اليوم في l'émission parce que عندك علاقة مع la ville اللي جانا منها notre invité qui est Michael, qui est la Kansas City dans le Missouri. Et pour tes connaissances, je suis allé à l'Américain parce qu'il me semble que tu as vécu environ 2 ans aux États-Unis.
Effectivement, j'ai vécu exactement 2 ans. عشت عامين قد من janvier 2016 حتى janvier 2018.
2016 و 2018 t'es parti faire tes études تما si mes souvenirs sont bons ما رانيش نخلط.
Exactement. درت un master en administration publique, درت master في الإدارة العامة. في الإدارة العامة الأمريكية. تما عندي كما قلت عندي quelques informations على كيفاش تمشي هذيك البلاد.
Justement, la particularité de l'américain à les États-Unis, c'est que c'est un État fédéral. C'est un État fédéral. On croit connaître les États-Unis parce que de par la culture américaine qui est exportée grâce aux films, grâce au cinéma, grâce à la musique, grâce aux festivals. Donc on a l'impression qu'on connaît ce pays, mais au final, là, il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on ignore par rapport à l'américain, à ces États-Unis justement qui sont très nombreux et qui se sont fédérés. Donc est-ce que tu peux nous raconter justement par rapport à ce pays, qu'est-ce que tu pourrais nous apprendre par rapport à ça?
Déjà bon, كما قلت نتايا c'est une nation fédérale. c'est une fédération fédérاليه كي تقول فيدراليه تقول مجموعه تاع وحدات مستقله en quelque sorte ولا مستقله جزئيا. donc عندها une indépendance ولا une autonomie partielle. donc التاريخ تاع الامريكان très particulier parce que ما بداش عنده بزاف. عندها un petit peu plus de 250 ans à peu près. في لافان تاع القرن الثامن عشر دونك 1700 في 1780 اللي بدات الحكايه تاع الامريكان. مع الاول كانوا سيتي ان جروب تاع دي كولوني تاع مستوطنات بريطانيه اللي كانوا يسكنوا فيها دي زونغلي دي فرونسي دي هولندي مي برينسيبالمون كونترولينهم التاج البريطاني. Donc la couronne britannique, c'est elle qui contrôlait les 13 colonies. كانوا 13 colonies في الشرق تاع الامريكان اللي دوكا نسموه داير اون ريفيرونس هذيك ليبوك لا ريجيون هذيك يعيطوا لها نيو انجلاند. دونك بريطانيا الجديده ولا انجلترا الجديده.
ومن بعد كيفاش après l'indépendance تاع هذيك les colonies هذيك la région ولات مسميه New England.
Exactement. Donc, New England, c'est plutôt la région, les FEHA, les États, t'as New York actuel, New York, New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, Delaware. C'est le الشمال الشرقي تاع الامريكان. Donc, à un moment donné, décidaو parce que l'anglais كانت تدير لهم لا بريسيون وكانت تدي عليهم لي تاكس alors que هما اللي كانوا يخدموا، هما اللي كانوا يجبدوا هذوك الثروات هذوك لي ريشيس من الارض. À un moment donné, décidaو parce que c'était واحد 3 ولا 4 جينيراسيون اللي جازوا ديجا ملي بداو المستوطنات نتما. ديسيداو قال لك يا ودي حنايا نسحقوا لانديبوندونس تاعنا من الانجليز باسكو ما نسحقوهاش. En fait, on n'a plus besoin de l'Angleterre. Donc بدات ce qu'on appelle la révolution américaine, تفهموا, ils ont ratifié des articles, ce qu'ils appellent des articles de la constitution, des articles de la confédération, pardon, articles of the confederation. Donc c'est en quelque sorte des petites lois هكايا باش يقدروا يتفاهموا مع بعضهم les 13 colonies parce que chaque colonie كان حاكمها بنادم اللي كان عنده justement des terres, c'était des nobles d'origine britannique اللي كانوا حاكمين هذيك la région. ومن بعد à un moment donné décidaو carrément يدوا l'indépendance تاعهم. donc داروا حرب مع الانجليز اللي دامت حوالي 3 سنوات وخداو l'indépendance تاعهم في 1798.
Alors,
من هذاك الوقت c'est devenu voilà كما قلت انت une nation fédérale. donc هذوك les colonies 13 ولاو states ولاو des états وبداو ياكلوا ان بتي بو حتى لحقوا لا كاليفورنيا ودوكا راهم 50 ايتا 50 ايتا اللي كل واحد عنده لوتونومي تاعو كوميرسيال، اللي كل واحد يقدر يفوتي لي لوا تاعو، اللي كل واحد عنده حكومه، عندهم كاريمون دي غوفرنمون دون شاك ايتا. et l'état fédéral, donc l'état fédéral يمثل من طرف رئيس الجمهوريه donc le président تاع les États-Unis et le congrès هما اللي يحكموا في لي ريلاسيون اكستيريور تاع الامريكان، هما اللي يحكموا في لارمي باسكو ما عندهمش الحق يكونوا عندهم دي زارمي ابري لا غير دو سيسيسيون، اي يحكموا في الانترستيت كوميرس لي دونك لي ريلاسيون كوميرسيال انتر لي زيتا.
Alors Nassim, la déclaration d'indépendance américaine sera le 4 juillet 1776. Donc donc du coup en fait en gros avec des états donc au sein du même pays qui a différents états avec différents gouvernements entre guillemets si on peut dire ça. Et parmi les états les كاين حنا l'invité تاعنا اللي عندنا اللي راهو راح يجينا اليوم qui s'appelle Michael, il nous vient de Kansas City dans le Missouri. Apparemment كاين deux Kansas City ما فهمتش donc فهمنا هاد الحكايه كاين Kansas City Kansas City Missouri رانا شويه مخلطين c'est quoi l'histoire.
Donc déjà corriger برك c'est effectivement 1776 et ماشي 1789 تاع فرنسا. Donc oui كاين deux Kansas City كاين donc كاين deux états le Missouri et le Kansas اللي sont frontaliers اللي جايين في le Midwest qu'on appelle la région du Midwest جايه في الوسط تاع الامريكان. Donc c'est vraiment le centre des États-Unis, c'est le cœur du pays. Kansas City, c'est vraiment l'une des villes qui est le plus au milieu des États-Unis. وفيها النص تاعها في un état اللي هو الميزوري، يتكتب avec 2 S mais يتنطق ميزوري. les gens تاع الميزوري يقدروا même يقولوا ميزورا. ou la moitié l'autre moitié elle est au Kansas. Donc كاين Kansas City MO, donc Kansas City Missouri, ou كاين Kansas City Kansas, donc Kansas City KS. Okay, et les deux sont coupés par ce qu'on appelle le state line, il y a la frontière entre les deux états.
Ce que j'ai appris par rapport à Kansas City, c'est que c'est une ville très conservatrice. Apparemment, il y a beaucoup de puritanisme américain et on n'en a pas forcément l'impression quand on regarde la culture qui est exportée justement et l'image qui est transmise par rapport aux États-Unis.
Alors, Kansas City, non, n'est pas une ville conservatrice. Kansas City est un bastion démocrate, est un bastion libéral, comme qui m'est américain, au milieu d'États conservateurs. Tu m'as dit que le Missouri, c'est un État qui vote rouge, donc qui vote pour républicain, qui m'a dit très conservateur, où les valeurs de la famille sont très omniprésentes. Et le Kansas, pareil. Et Kansas City, au milieu, donc Houston, c'est un bastion démocrate. C'est une ville très libérale de par son histoire, qui a une grande communauté afro-américaine, qui a une grande relation avec les routes commerciales qui ont eu de l'est vers l'ouest des États-Unis. Donc, ils ont Kansas City, dans un quartier précisément qui s'appelle Westport actuellement. Et donc, la diversité culturelle malgré que entre des États coincés en sandwich, entre des États conservateurs, une ville qui vote presque toujours, depuis toujours, pour le parti libéral démocrate actuellement.
Alors Nassim, je vais te cacher, donc de temps en temps, je vais faire afficher l'invité. Merci beaucoup Nassim pour la petite présentation. Tu restes avec nous. J'invite, I will invite, parce que bon, moi je suis femme, donc je vous préviens déjà bon, notre invité forcément, il parle anglais, donc les il parle l'anglais les marahouch ils font l'anglais, on va essayer de traduire de temps en temps, mais je pense que ça va aller vite. Je vous préviens, donc la vidéo est sur YouTube avec des sous-titres. D'ailleurs, je lance encore une fois un appel, comme la dernière fois, toute personne volontaire et bénévole qui souhaiterait nous aider à faire les traductions pour les sous-titres. Je remercie sincèrement et du fond du cœur toutes les personnes qui m'ont contacté et qui m'ont aidé pour le premier épisode qui a été diffusé. Voilà, donc sans plus tarder, je vais inviter disparaître l'écran. Alors, je vais inviter notre... Qui fait chaud?
نديروها بسواهيلي.
Swahili. ما تسبويلي بركة ما تسبويلي. Alors, tac. Ok, non. Alors, toi, je te vois toujours. Bon, en attendant, chauffe. Je sais pas si tu te souviens, la semaine dernière, on avait reçu Xavi de Luca qui était qui nous venait d'Espagne et qui était l'un des membres fondateurs de l'association Jisr. Donc en attendant de rencontrer notre ami Michael, Xavi a souhaité insister pour nous laisser un petit message qu'on va écouter tout de suite et on revient juste après.
Salam alaikum les amis de Wesh Derna. Je voulais en premier lieu vous remercier très sincèrement de toute la générosité que vous m'avez offert pendant la dernière émission. Et d'autre côté, je voulais m'engager à faire passer toutes les références culturelles qui sont apparues pendant les programmes, notamment les chansons d'Amel Zen, le dernier album, Idir bien sûr, et aussi les romans de Kautar Adimi et pas oublier les magnifiques recettes de Lily avec un parfait espagnol. Je m'occuperai personnellement avec Jisr de faire passer ces messages avec nos collègues tout autour de la Méditerranée, en Tunisie, en Espagne, ailleurs, là où on peut arriver. Et je voulais juste vous dire qu'on sera toujours à vos côtés dans le prochain projet et pour les faire réalité ainsi que les rêves. Et c'est très important de continuer à rêver, de savoir qu'on n'est pas seul et qu'ensemble on peut débloquer tous les barrages. Donc bon courage et à très bientôt.
Juste à côté, je pense que monsieur est apparu et c'est en train de se réaliser. Michael, could you hear me please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Alhamdulillah. Welcome to Wesh Derna across the world. We are really happy to receive the first American guy in Wesh Derna. As you know, we would like hear from Algeria to build bridges between countries, especially by linking people, young people, all around the world, and for sharing experiences for fraternity, exchange, etc. And we are really, really happy to receive you today. How are you living your COVID-19 in Texas City? In Texas, Kansas City. In Kansas City.
Yeah, it's been difficult, but yeah, no, I have several roommates, which has been helpful to be able to have community while sheltering in place and working hard, teaching and with my own graduate studies. So it's been good actually. It's we've been trying to stay entertained and healthy and happy.
Is there a lockdown in your city now?
There have been. We are slowly rolling back now. This week, we're starting to roll it back. Starting to see we were stay at home, and you can only go for essential businesses. However, now non-essential businesses are opening back up, but there are limits to how many people can go into the
So you, Michael, you have a very special, how can I say? You have been teaching for 6 years in the heart of the Kansas City. Your school is 100% free. All your students are refugees or immigrants, and you are specialized in teaching students whose first language is not English. How come?
So I just want to say the entire school is not non-native English speakers or refugee and immigrants. Only the students I teach are. So the school is actually the most diverse school in Missouri. So we have students who are born here in Kansas City, as well as from outside. But I specialize in teaching refugee and immigrant students because I'm an English as a second language teacher. So I specialize in teaching mathematics to students who who maybe haven't been in school, or have been interrupted education, who haven't always been in school. We call it students with interrupted formal education, which happen to often be immigrant and refugees.
Okay, so you are teaching both mathematics and English for these students who are not speaking English.
Yes, correct. So my job is as a math teacher, but seeing as my students are also learning English at the same time, it makes it so that I must also incorporate specific English programming into my lesson plans. So they are always reading, writing, speaking, and talking in every single lesson to try to incorporate as much of the language acquisition into the material as possible.
So how it is to work with immigrant and refugees in America? Is it easy? Are they living? What are the fights, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I mean the lives for our students are still very difficult. I mean, when you come to a country, and oftentimes you if you've been living in a refugee camp, or if you haven't had access to, not necessarily formal education, but maybe formal documentation, it's difficult to get the type of job that maybe you had before you had to leave your home, or maybe perhaps you have even a PhD or a doctorate or something, but you don't speak English. So the parents aren't able to then get the type of job that's going to pay such a high income. So that does create a situation where our students are still very much living in poverty, which is something that we have to deal with. And of course, America is not the friendliest country to refugee and immigrant students, especially considering with Donald Trump in office, who is pretty much a vendetta against immigrant and refugees.
Yeah. Why it isn't the funniest country for this?
I mean, I think the reason why there's hostility towards refugee and immigrants really dates back to the creation of America. I mean, it's a country that's very much founded on principles of making sure certain people stay in power, and those without power aren't able to gain it. So I think that has carried forward to today, where now it's a hotbed political issue where you can get elected just by being able to, be more racist than the next guy, unfortunately.
Okay. So when I discussed with you earlier, I learned that you work with the community organizations in America, in Kansas City, on housing rights, so le droit au logement, rights for living wage, donc pour le droit pour un salaire décent, and food justice. Just to translate for the audience, because there is some connection issues. So just a little translation for people. Alors, pour ceux qui nous écoutent, donc notre cher ami Michael nous vient, donc comme je vous l'ai dit, de Kansas City, du Missouri. Il est enseignant, donc il travaille dans une université dans une école qui est très particulière, qui est 100% gratuite, pour laquelle les cours sont destinés uniquement ou essentiellement pour les réfugiés et les immigrants. Les élèves, la plupart, وكاع pratiquement ما يهضروش l'anglais. Donc هو يقريهم à la fois mathématiques et à la fois يقريهم l'anglais. Et donc il est spécialisé dans ça et encore une fois qui m'a dit comme c'est une école 100% gratuite. Donc il travaille souvent avec les community organizations, donc des organisations communautaires pour aider les réfugiés les américains pour obtenir des droits. Alors le droit le premier on housing rights, donc qui est le droit au logement. Donc il essaye de se battre باش هاد les réfugiés اللي جايين في الامريكان يكون عندهم le droit au logement. Rights for living wage, il se bat aussi pour qu'ils aient ces réfugiés et ces immigrants qu'ils aient un salaire décent. Et for food justice, donc une justice pour qu'ils aient accès à la nourriture, pour qu'ils aient accès de manière juste et de manière équitable, etc. So Michael, why it is important for you to fight for all this for housing rights, living wage, food justice, etc., etc.?
I mean, for me, I think that all people deserve to be able to have the basic necessities that they need in order to live. To be able to live. I mean, that's not even saying to live a good life, just for life itself. So for me, the housing, the right to earn a living wage where you can actually pay for your groceries and your rent and your utilities. I mean, right now my students are being evicted. In my school, oftentimes it's very difficult for students to be able to stay in my school the entire year because they're going to be kicked out of their house and maybe be living in their car. You'll have an entire family, living out of their car, and so it's not an easy situation. So they'll jump from school to school. So I see the impact of these policies, on an everyday basis, and it's something that for me it's the least I can do, to be honest.
Okay. This is really inspiring, and this is really great because we cannot imagine. When I saw all your resume, your biography, all the stuff you do, all the languages you manage, all the activities you do with, like for example, tennis coaching, soccer coaching, etc., etc. And traveling, we will go back through regarding traveling. We will talk about this after. But I had one question. I don't know if you saw the video we broadcasted here today. When you had some connections issue, it was about our friend from Spain, Xavi de Luca. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see the video or not. Actually, he is a very engaged guy in culture in Spain. And after his coming in the TV show, Wesh, Derna across the world, he committed to do its best to build bridges between Algeria and Spain, to give more opportunities for artists, and to show all the cultural reference he had in the show, to show them to his network in Tunisia, in Spain, in whenever in Europe. So culture is very important for us here because I think that that's with culture that we can build the links and maybe live in a better way. And I have a question. Do you like cinema? Do you like movies?
Yeah, I love movies. Absolutely.
Okay. So if you like movies or short films, as you know, in Wesh Derna, we like to Algerian youth first. It's like America first, but in Wesh Derna is Algerian youth first, and we like to connect them to the world. And today, we have chosen to offer you a short film, a beautiful short film that you can see. We will show you. We will give you the link. That of the young director Louisa Beskri from Hadjout in Algeria. I think that it's talk about a subject that could really interest you, or you are working on it. So I will show you this short video, and I'll be right back.
Hey Michael, I hope you're doing well. Today, as you're alive in Algeria, even though you couldn't get here in person, finger crossed for next time, I want to offer you a little something. I know you have been working with refugees for years now in beautiful Kansas City, Missouri, and I also know that you are very sensitive to the situation of migrants everywhere around the world. Today, I'm offering you this short movie by director Louisa Beskri, produced in 2017 and called Birds, who is about Abdurrahman, an 11 years child from Niger who traveled throughout Sahara for better life. As you might know, every year thousands of families travel throughout Algeria to reach the north and eventually Europe. The destiny of this child is closely linked to thousands of others who dream of having brighter futures in the other side of the Mediterranean Sea. So close but so far. At 11, like a migratory bird that crossed the great oceans, Abdurrahman traveled on foot the Great Sahara, from Niger to north of Algeria. Braving all dangers, hunger, thirst, and scorching sun, the cold, freezing night, the sand, wind, and banditry. This frail and reckless little bird lands at Tipaza in the north of Algeria and discovers for the first time the sea he was dreaming of, the Mediterranean, with its brilliant blue, its beautiful waves, its quiet mood. Resigned to make his nest in this new environment, Abdurrahman must ensure his survival. Oh, how difficult of a challenge it can be, especially for the little child he is. I really hope you will enjoy this short movie and keep supporting the great causes you have always strived for migrants looking for better lives, for children, for humanity. Enjoy and take care of yourself, Majo. Bye-bye.
Voilà, donc c'était Nassim Bala qui nous présentait le court-métrage de Louisa Biskri qui s'appelle Birds et qui raconte l'histoire, comme vous venez de le voir, d'un jeune migrant qui vit ici en Algérie et que vous aurez la possibilité de suivre. Nous partagerons plus tard, vu qu'on a obtenu l'accord de Louisa Biskri, nous partagerons le lien avec vous pour que vous puissiez regarder le court-métrage. So, Michael, we have a question from Sarah Sarounet. She is asking, can we have more information about your method? Michael, please just talk near of the camera, the microphone. Yeah.
So I guess for methods in terms of teaching, it's something where I try to have very explicit, direct instruction for my students. So I try to learn as much about the different languages that my students speak as possible, so that if there's not someone else in the class who can help translate, then I can communicate in that way. But at the same time, if that's not possible, utilizing a variety of methods, especially with like TPR, which is total physical response, where you can really try to use tactile or very concrete examples that don't involve or don't necessitate as much language, but then also trying to be as clear and concise as possible, going over everything as many times as a student needs, and in a different variety of way, because all learners are different, and teaching students whose first language is not English is really the same best practices as teaching any student. It's just a matter of having enough patience to be able to do what's best for the kids and to find out what method that they learn best in.
Okay, we hope that Sarah Saounet has her answer. So, alors, we have another question from Rima Sheikh Belhaj. So I don't know if you can see the questions or not.
Obstacles, yes. So, I mean, very, very similar to what...
Sorry, Mike, sorry, just I have just to read the question for people. So, no worries. So, very noble, could you ask him if were some obstacles that they encounter? Sauf si la question a déjà été posée. Donc, la question, c'est est-ce qu'il a déjà rencontré certains obstacles par rapport à son enseignement pour les enfants, les réfugiés et les migrants. So, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so very similar to the film you just saw. I mean, my students have very similar migratory stories. I mean, many children have crossed the border themselves, which is terrifying, or at least without their parents, and having to navigate by themselves, having traveled hundreds or even thousands of miles in order to get to the United States, oftentimes by foot. is really really quite the challenge, and it's very commendable that they're able to have undertaken that. And then I think from our refugee students, I mean, they've come from some of the most unimaginable circumstances that there are in this world. I mean, having witnessed and partaken in just some of the worst parts of human history, it's really remarkable to be able to see where they are now and to be able to be where they are now. So, and then of course, when they come to the United States, there's a myriad of challenges that they will all face here as non-native English speakers, as the kind of the general culture of America in general. There's quite a bit of a learning curve to being here, and to being able to navigate all the different social challenges. America is not a country that is set up to be it is both very welcoming, very friendly, and at the same time, it is also very inhospitable. So, and having to learn how to, oftentimes for our students who come from, East Africa, having to learn how to be Black, because in America, or where the countries they've come from, they've never had to identify by their skin color or have been given a certain race. But in America, this the identity that is put on them, and now you're being thrown into this entire history of American racialized culture that is very difficult to navigate, even if you're born here. So I think there's a myriad of challenges such as those.
Alors, pour ceux qui viennent de nous rejoindre et qui ne savent pas ce qui se passe et qui voient un gars qui est en train de parler en anglais avec un gars habillé en Superman, ou là pour ceux qui ont raté parce qu'il y a une mouchkil ta connexion. Donc là, aujourd'hui, on est en direct des États-Unis. Enfin, un arané fait Alger, Wahbibna Michael Rahov, Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Michael, il fait partie donc des intervenants que j'ai choisis dans la nouvelle aventure que j'ai lancée qui est Wesh, Derna, Across the World. اللي نروح فيها à la rencontre تاع des jeunes في العالم كامل باش نشوف واش راهم دايرين في بلادهم، كيفاش راهم عايشين، كيفاش راهم يماجينيو العالم بعد تاع ابري، يحكيوا لنا شويه على بلادهم ونحكيوا لهم حنا على بلادنا ونوريو لهم واش رانا دايرين في بلادنا. On leur montre des choses de notre culture, dans la musique, le cinéma, etc., etc. Donc pour ceux qui ont raté la première partie ou qui n'arrivaient pas à suivre le problème de la connexion, donc Michael est enseignant dans une école qui est 100% gratuite à Kansas City, Missouri, qui est destinée aux enfants aux réfugiés et immigrants qui ne s'expriment pas en langue anglaise. Il parle mathématiques et anglais. C'est quelqu'un qui est très impliqué et très engagé dans son domaine. D'ailleurs, qui a inspiré beaucoup de personnes. Je le vois dans les commentaires parce qu'il y a beaucoup de questions et beaucoup de personnes qui fâchent d'air, quelles sont les méthodes qu'il a utilisées, etc. C'est quelqu'un qui est très engagé aussi dans les community organizations. Donc, il se bat donc pour le droit au logement des migrants aux États-Unis, pour un salaire décent pour les migrants aux États-Unis et pour une food justice. Sorry, it was just a summary of our discussion. I have another comment from someone who seems to like you. Big part of his method is his kindness and humanity. He is so lovely with the kids. I've met some of his students and they were like brothers to him. Alors, je vais traduire. I will translate just for people and we will react. Donc là, il y a une personne qui vient de débarquer, qui visiblement a déjà rencontré notre ami Michael et qui a déjà rencontré ses élèves. Elle dit que la plus grande part de sa méthode, c'est sa gentillesse et son humanité, qu'il est très tendre et très 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 lovely avec les enfants, et il y a des rapports très fraternels entre lui et ses enfants, en tout cas les enfants qu'il enseigne. Raison en tout cas selon elle, le succès à ce niveau-là. So, your comment regarding the comment of this girl, Massilia Gizem.
Well, first I just want to say thank you, Cece. It's a very, very wonderful thing for you to say, and it's a blessing that you were able to meet my students and inspire them. And I do think that kindness is the most important quality a teacher can have. I mean, if you don't have a kind heart, and if you're not able to really meet students with just always a heart full of love, then you really shouldn't be in education, because that's what our kids need. They absolutely need just an abundance of love at all times, even when it's difficult to see past, just, teaching them the standards, teaching this or that. What's most important is to always create a world where they feel comfortable, respected, and loved.
So let's go back to Michael. So Michael, I have some questions. First part is about Algeria. The second part is about America. And the third part is about your passions. So I will start with the part regarding Algeria, about Algeria. So my question is, what did you know about Algeria before meeting Algerian? Donc je vais traduire pour les gens. Donc ma question concerne l'Algérie. نسقساه واش كنت تعرف على الجزائر قبل ما تتعرف مع جزائريين؟ انت اللي راك في ماريكان، راك في الكونساس سيتي.
I think before meeting Nassim, all I knew about Algeria is what I'd seen through the movie The Battle of Algiers and reading Frantz Fanon. So, but other than that, I had very little idea.
So my second question is: did you visit any similar place to Algeria, and what did you think about it?
Well, the only place that I've visited that probably has quite a bit of similarities would be Egypt. I would love to make it to North Africa. I haven't yet, but I imagine there's quite a few similarities between Egypt and Algeria, just for religion, language, culture, etc. But I imagine there's also as many differences for sure between the two.
Third question: would you like to visit Algeria?
Oh, 100%. I tried a couple years ago, so I'll definitely be trying again, and hopefully I can secure a visa and visit.
So the second part is it's about America. About America, brace yourself. Do you know similarities between Americans and Algerians?
Well, I mean, there's many Algerians who are Americans, so amongst those similarities, they're very, very stark. I'd imagine. From the Algerians that I know, I would say that extremely welcoming, very much. If you go into someone's home, you're going to be treated well. You're going to be respected. They're going to be doing anything they can to make you feel comfortable and good. And I hopefully that's also an American trait. Yes, I mean, I could be seeing it through rose-colored lenses with Nassim and Cici having been my closest Algerian friends, and the way that them and their family treated me whenever I'd go visit them.
Inshallah, we will wait for you, and we hope we cross our finger. Other question: do you know anything about relationship about the two countries, Algeria and America?
I don't know a lot about how it is currently, to be honest. Algeria and America aren't as aligned geopolitically. They don't have that same kind of strength of history relationship as other countries. Algeria tends to be a tad bit more closed off for obviously a myriad of reasons, which is not necessarily a bad thing at all. But in terms of the current geopolitical relationships, I'm not so sure.
Okay. Actually, it wasn't really about the current situation, but relationship de manière générale. Donc, je lui posais la question: est-ce que tu connais le lien ou la relation qui existe entre les deux pays, donc l'Algérie et les États-Unis? And do you know JFK? You know JFK?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, in Algeria, there is a very famous video of JFK, but I don't know if Americans know this video. So we will try to see it now, and you will give me your comment just after. Okay?
Absolutely.
This moment of national independence for the people of Algeria, the creation of a great new state, represents the devoted and courageous work of the Algerian people and their leaders, stretching over many years. I congratulate them. I congratulate them as President of the United States, and I congratulate them on behalf of the American people. We too fought for our own independence also, and it cost us many years of bloodshed and tears and work and perseverance. But we finally obtained our independence as you have yours, and we have maintained it as you will yours. It's a particular source of satisfaction to me to express these words of greeting to our friends in Algeria, because I recall speaking some years ago in the Senate of the United States on behalf of independence for Algeria. And now that great goal has been achieved. We wish you every success in the future. And I want to assure you of our wholehearted desire to work in cooperation with you and your leaders on behalf of peace and prosperity and the progress of your people and mine and of all mankind.
So, what can you say?
Yeah, that's very nice. That's good that JFK made that. I mean, it's also it's funny just thinking about just like JFK and what's going on. I mean, JFK is the same president who is responsible for the Bay of Pigs I'm just kind of thinking about the United States relationship to Cuba versus Algeria's relationship to Cuba, and like how JFK plays into that is interesting. But yeah, that's nice that JFK shared those sentiments and felt that way. He was someone who was, I think, did things different than many other presidents, which is good. One of the relationships I was just thinking about while watching that the video was a relationship between Algeria and the Black Panther Party in the United States, and the Black Panther Party is something that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and it's something as a community organizer, someone who's been a community organizer, is a part of American history that I pay close attention to. So I think that's one relationship between Algeria and the United States that I really treasure.
The Algerian revolution during the 60s was supported by JFK, and as you know, Algeria was under the colonization of France for 132 years. So from 1830 to 1862. And this video that we had just shown was on July 3, 1962, and the Independence Day in Algeria is July 5, 1962. Yeah,
that's nice.
And in America,
July
it is
4th.
July 4, and we are in July 5, so we are in between 3 and you are between 3, between 5. So last question regarding America and Algeria. In your opinion, what type of relationship do you think the people of the two countries should work on in this globalized world?
And I like that you said what relationship the people have, not necessarily the relationship the government should have. I think those are very different types of relationships. The ones amongst the people, I think, are much more important. I mean, I'm a pretty strong believer in that in open borders. So I would love to be able to see more travel. I mean, of course, once the global situation opens up, I would love to be able to see more of that kind of international engagement and being able to really be able to gain a deeper cultural understanding between Algerians and people within the United States of America. It's and of course Algeria is such a beautiful country. I mean, I think Americans would be very, very blessed to be able to see how beautiful it is.
You like to travel a lot, and I think that you traveled in too many countries. Why are you so passionate by cultures?
That's a great question. I think I've always been fascinated by culture. I think that culture is something that is extremely It's really fascinating to me. From even from a young age, the books I would read would always be from around the world. If there's ever someone, I grew up in small towns in America, so if there's ever someone from another country or even a part of my own country that I was not familiar with, I always wanted to befriend them and get to know what life was like for them and how it is with them currently in the situation that they're in. So I think for me, culture is life, and I have a very passionate interest in life.
Bon, pour ceux qui ne comprennent pas l'anglais, donc ma question c'était pourquoi tu aimes autant voyager et pourquoi tu es autant passionné par la culture. Il nous explique qu'en gros la culture c'est la chose la plus importante qui puisse exister dans un pays et c'est la chose la plus importante qu'il a envie de découvrir lorsqu'il voyage et que c'est l'un des moyens ou du moins le moyen des plus efficaces pour rapprocher les peuples. En grossièrement c'est ça. And the last question regarding your passions, tell us more about your favorite trip. Donc, dis-nous plus sur ton voyage préféré.
That is a difficult question to answer. I would say between the 6 months I spent in South America or my first trip to East Africa, which was about 2.5 months. And I'm probably right now going to say East Africa because when I went to South America, that was more just me visiting friends and kind of having a general cultural engagement, whereas when I was in East Africa, I was actually going to the houses of my students, going to their communities. I went and visited refugee camps to actually get to see where my students were coming from, the education background that they had, and really was able to go to their communities and learn just so much more about them and their histories, and to be able to also be a bridge then between family members who are cut off and unable to be able to see their loved ones. It's not as good as their grandchildren, children, cousins, uncles being able to be there, but I was able to bring letters and I was able to be that kind of that bridge. And it's just East Africa in general is really an amazing culture. I mean, a variety of cultures, but in general, just really an amazing part of the world.
Donc, Michael est en train de nous expliquer que son voyage le plus marquant, c'est son voyage en Afrique de l'Est. Parce qu'il était important pour lui d'aller visiter les communautés, à ses étudiants, à ses élèves qui viennent de ces pays, pour mieux comprendre leur vie, Mninjao, etc. Donc, comme lui, je rappelle encore une fois, il enseigne dans une école qui est 100% gratuite, qui donne des cours, qui dispense des cours pour des enfants de migrants et de réfugiés. Donc forcément, c'était important pour lui de voyager dans les pays de ses élèves pour mieux les servir dans son pays là où il est en train de travailler, en tout cas aux États-Unis. You made 2 trips to East Africa to visit the communities of your students come from in order to understand their lives better so you can serve their community better. Is it a good resume regarding your...
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay, so you can speak different languages, Spanish and Swahili.
I'm not fluent by any stretch of the imagination, but I can have pretty simple conversation in both Swahili and Spanish.
Spanish and Swahili.
Yes.
Why Spanish and Swahili? I can understand because this is the native language in East Africa, so I can understand. It's probably to be closer with your student, etc. But what about Spanish?
Spanish, I keep it up now for pretty much those same reasons. The largest percentage of non-native English-speaking students at my school are definitely Spanish speakers. In America, Spanish is by far the second most important language. If you live on either of the coasts, especially the West Coast, Spanish is a very vital language, not just for educators, but really for everyone. And also, my interest in traveling. I originally, before I started traveling to Africa a couple years ago, my travels were usually in the Caribbean and South America, and generally to Spanish-speaking countries. So that's why I would keep my Spanish up and where I actually learned. I've never been able to learn language very well in school. It's always been through traveling that I've picked up the language.
There is a comment, a very interesting comment of Nadia saying in French. I will tell it in French, and then after that I will
Yeah, please
translate.
do. My French is not one of my languages.
So, l'enseignant enseigner pour mieux enseigner, c'est fabuleux. The teacher teached to better teach. It's fabulous.
Okay, yeah. So to be able, when you're able to teach someone to be even being able to teach even better.
Mike, do you like food?
I love food.
You know that traveling is also tasting. And
Yes.
in Algeria, food is very, very important to bond between people. This is for you. Just listen, and we will talk about it just after. Her name is Lily. She has a menu for you. This is the Lily's menu. I will just cut your microphone. I will hide you, and we will see the video of Lily.
Hi Michael, welcome to the Lily's menu section. Well, Lily, it's me, a lover of culinary art, always ready to share good traditional Algerian recipes with you. I wanted you to discover through this little recording a special traditional menu for Eid al-Fitr, which is a religious holiday celebrated by Muslims around the world to mark the breaking fast of the holy month of Ramadan. Through this menu, we'll visit Kabylia, which is a beautiful historic region located in the northeast of Algeria. So I will start this trip with a delicious starter, l'hmis, which is a tasty salad of green peppers and tomatoes. Hmis could be soft or spicy depending on the use of sweet or chili pepper. This dish is always eaten with the traditional semolina bread, kesra in Algerian, or aghrum aquran in Kabyle dialect. The Kabyle kesra is prepared with olive oil that differs from most of other Algerian regions. For the main course, I suggest you Kabyle couscous with the red sauce made with onions, tomatoes and vegetables. The chosen meat for this dish will be veal. Couscous is a very tasty traditional dish of Berber origin. This popular dish is cooked practically every weekend in Algerian families, but also for special occasions like weddings. To end our meal with a sweet touch, I suggest traditional cake served with good mint tea. By the way, mint tea is tradition of Maghreb cuisine. It's always offered to guests to welcome them. It's a symbol of friendliness and hospitality. The first cake is Cherek Larian, which is a traditional pastry made with almonds. The full English translation of Cherek Larian is the naked Cherek. This doesn't mean that Cherek is a pervert or just a naturist, but that he is not dressed with icing sugar like his cousin Cherek Msakkar, sugar Cherek. Joking aside, this cake is really tasty. The second cake is traditional ancestral one, Gharibiya. This pastry is in the form of a melty bite with a crunchy little heart and a little hint of cinnamon above, which goes perfectly with it. Here is Michael. I hope that this little recording will have allowed you to discover some of our traditional Algerian dishes, and especially that they will have made you want to cook them in your kitchen. If you do, please don't hesitate to send us pictures or videos of your dishes. Bon appétit, Michael. See you soon.
Voilà, merci beaucoup Lily pour cette jolie recette. شهيتيني بالتشارك العريان والتشارك المسكر the naked تشارك والغريبية وما لا باليش etc. Michael.
Oh, I'm quite hungry now.
So, reaction.
Fortunately, I've gotten to taste some of those foods with couscous with the red stew with the vegetables and I think beef. But of course, it would be nothing compared to what you can actually have in Algeria. But the semolina bread, especially, oh my! I really miss Nassim and Sisi being here, but I think I miss their baking that bread even more. Very, very, very tasty. Very good. Yeah, and I love that food can really show you different culture. The history of an era, the differences between one region and another, the way that it's able to bring people together, the way that it's, I think the easiest way to share one's culture with others. It's really, I think food does so much.
We hope that we can someday share with you this couscous and this menti and this شارك العريان and this شارك المسكر and this حميص and everything. And I think that in Kansas City, your the specialization in this region is a barbecue. Is it right?
Very much so. Yes, we're world renowned for our barbecue. It's very good. I think we have the most barbecue restaurants per capita, or maybe the second most barbecue restaurants per capita in the country. And the city is different from other areas that we don't specialize in one type of barbecue. You know, Texas is known for brisket. You know, South Carolina is known for their ribs. But Kansas City specifically is known to just be great at everything, which makes for a very, very good meal.
So we are happy to hear this. So Michael, just to finish our meeting, our discussion, every guest we have in Wesh Derna has a gift. So you will have your what we call starter pack Algeria. So I don't know if you know what is the starter pack Algeria or not. So I will upload it just right now and present you what is your starter pack. Okay, 1, 2, 3, up. Yes. So the starter pack of Mr. Michael is coming. تك. بون راهو بيان سور حنا بالكونيكسيون تاعنا اخي ضرب قرن 7 سنين نستناوه يطلع. Okay, it's here. Up. I will show it in the stream and I will hide both of us. So this is the starter pack Algeria. So you have one album, one movie, one book, and one menu. Algerian album, Algerian movie, Algerian book, and Algerian menu. The menu is indeed the menu of Lily. So the Lily's menu that has been presented just right now. For the movie, so it's the short film from Louisa Biskri, Birds. Okay. The album is an album, a rap album. I will show you again. Up, showing stream. Regarding do you know that we have a rapper in Algeria which is called Diaz?
No, I don't think so. Nassim had shown me some Algerian hip hop before, but I don't believe it was that artist.
No, it was funny because when you have chosen your song, it was a song of Rebel Diaz, and we had chosen an album from Diaz in Algeria. So it was a funny coincidence. So it's a rapper in Algeria. He made a mixture between Shabi and between rap. So Shabi is traditional music in Algiers, in some region in Algeria, and rap is something that you know. That's a really engaged singer and rapper. So you will find this album in your starter pack. And for the book, you will have a PDF book from France Fanon, which is called Toward the African Revolution. So you will have to read this, to listen to this, to cook, and to see everything. Thank you so much, dear Mike, for accepting our invitation.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Shukran.
And we have, as usually, we have what I call, what is the name? A commitment exchange. So you came in the show, in this show, we talked, we communicated, we talked about some stuff regarding Algerian culture. So now you have to commit to spread something from what you learned today in your direct or indirect environment. So maybe at your school or with your friends or whatever you want.
Absolutely. I can absolutely commit to that. Problem at all.
You commit for that?
100%.
Okay, great. So we will send you the pack. Thank you so much for accepting once again the invitation. And Nassim is here, but I think that we cannot hear him. We will try. That's the end. No, blue screen. Nassim, tu nous entends? Non. Ok, bon, non, on n'entend pas. Ce n'est pas grave. En tout cas, les جماعة الخير, merci beaucoup نتوما كي سمعتونا, merci beaucoup كي تبعتونا. تهلاو في رواحتكم. Merci beaucoup de nous avoir suivis. Mike, thank you once again. Take care of yourself. Take care of your passion, of your student, and of your everything you love. And we hope that we can receive you in Algeria one day. You will be really, really welcomed, and maybe you will taste the chalak العريان of Lily.
I hope so. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Ciao, ciao.
You too. Ciao.
Bye. Salut. Voilà, merci beaucoup à tous de nous avoir suivis. C'était périlleux. Ça قلت لكم باللي نديروها malgré tout, malgré le blocage. Louisa Beskri يعطيك الصحة pour ton film. Merci beaucoup de l'avoir partagé avec nous. Je suis très heureux d'avoir pu le présenter et surtout d'avoir pu le partager outre-mer. Donc, يعطيك الصحة. Moi, j'encourage en tout cas toute personne faisant partie de ce pays et de la jeunesse de ce pays de s'investir davantage dans la culture. On voit un certain nombre de choses et on voit un certain nombre de dégradations par rapport à la situation culturelle. Mais ça, je pense que c'est en créant et en faisant des choses et en s'impliquant au maximum qu'on pourra réussir à aboutir à des choses. Ne laissez personne vous dire que vous êtes une minorité, que vous représentez personne. Chaque individu a le droit d'exister. La démocratie, c'est la protection des minorités de toute manière, que vous le soyez, que vous ne le soyez pas. Donc, كل واحد عنده بلاصتو, كل واحد عنده le droit يعيش, كل واحد عنده le droit يعيش حر. وتحية ثورية لخواتنا في الحباس. Très bonne soirée à tous et à très bientôt. Ciao.
Might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine she's here, you can take a